Hello, my name is Greg Valentine, and I'd like to discuss my own reflections through this course. While I always knew the use of electronic media and the internet was robust, I do not think I had the understanding of how pervasive it is in our culture. In addition, because I am involved in global health efforts in resource-limited areas of the world, I found myself constantly thinking about the discussions in this course and comparing it to what it is like in those resource-limited settings. This also made me think that this must be similar to what America was like just 1 to 2 decades or so ago, when the internet was not as pervasive in our culture as it is now. I have loved learning about the myriad of topics that were presented in this course, from internet addiction and online gaming to cyberbullying and issues with the increasing technology use within childhood. These discussions have enlightened me into an ever-expanding field that will only lead to more and more issues and questions as the years, and with it, technological innovation, progress. I think one of the most apparent ways I have implemented the knowledge I have gained in this course is through my own personal decisions. I find that I am much more aware of my own usage of the internet and social networking sites than I was prior to this course. In addition, I find that as a pediatrician, this information is very helpful. While we do discuss things like screen time in our residency training program, I do not remember discussing things like ensuring that children do not have access to their telephone in their own room, or keeping areas of the house free from the internet. I think that this is very helpful, and I have been able to implement many of these things with my own daughter. As a pediatrician and even as a neonatologist, I can see patients in clinic. Discussing these issues of screen time, use of personal cell phones, and cyberbullying are ways this course has directly benefited my own practice. Plus, I can bring this knowledge to resource-limited settings where technology is just beginning to blossom. The topic I was assigned was internet addiction. I shared this topic with Lanessa. We both went to Baylor for our pediatrics residency and graduated in the same class, so it was great to know her and work with her on it. In the words of Honey Boo Boo, she was awesome. She was constantly helping find articles and helping narrow down the numerous medical articles we did find related to internet addiction. Working on the narrated PowerPoint presentation went well, and I felt like I won a huge prize just for getting to work with her on this assignment. In the discussion about internet addiction, many of my classmates had comments that centered around similar concepts. First, many classmates commented on the fact that they were unaware of internet addiction, but that they understood that many people spend too much time on the internet. They commented on the fact that internet addiction is not an official diagnosis via the DSM-5, but that it is likely to become one in the near future given the pervasiveness of the internet and its effects on our society. In addition, discussions centered around how we can keep the concept of internet addiction in mind as we facilitate learning in the medical community. Several classmates commented on the idea of non-technology-based assignments or other ideas such as technology time in which technology may or may not be permitted. I did enjoy the topic of internet addiction as it has direct medical and pediatric considerations and implications. In that same regard, the increasing technology use of childhood and specifically cyberbullying were very intriguing and great to learn about. Finally, I really enjoyed learning about and discussing telehealth, and this is a blossoming field of medicine that can have significant impacts at all levels. At the level of the individual patient, at the level of the hospital, the state, the nation, even across countries, and even to the International Space Station. Telehealth is a blossoming field that I think we'll learn more and more about as time goes by. I think that this course covered many awesome topics. I would say that technological innovations are expanding how we know and use technology each and every day. In this regard, topics such as 3D printing and its use in healthcare, and especially the ethics of advancing technology within the field of healthcare, are two very large topics that could be helpful to learn more about. I find myself wondering about the ethics, especially on almost a daily basis. For instance, when one hospital has a tremendous amount of resources and technology, whereas a neighboring hospital does not, and it affects patient outcomes, is this okay ethically, morally? What about the use in global health? What about the issues with increasing genetic testing and personalized medicine through the newer technologies? And for me specifically, neonatology. What about the increasing, or I should say decreasing age of viability? So a 22-weeker can now be considered viable at our institution, whereas most institutions it's 24 weeks. And even in developing world, it's 28 to 30 weeks. But it's just because we have the technology to do so. These are all interesting questions I have pondered, and it would be great to discuss these more through a specific module during this course. And finally, when thinking about the idea of synchronous versus asynchronous discussions, I would have to say I favor asynchronous discussions. Being synchronized or in sync, it can be helpful to hear from everyone directly and bounce ideas off real time. However, I have the bias of looking at everything through the lens of global health. For instance, last semester I was in Malawi and was unable to participate in a synchronized event. The event was recorded, but the file was so large that a 45-minute recording took 6 hours to download and view while in Malawi due to the internet speeds there. Whereas I was in a very uncommon situation, as I do not expect many individuals in these courses to be in a different country while taking them, and especially a resource-limited setting. This made me very grateful for the asynchronous discussions we have been having. Plus, just being in the healthcare industry, working in the intensive care units with call overnight intermittently throughout the month, it is much easier to participate in asynchronous discussions than synchronized ones. Sometimes the synchronous ones just fall flat. All in all, I love this course. I think it was great in many ways as it enlightened me into the pervasiveness of the internet and the issues that have arisen from its use in our society. Thank you.